Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
Welcome back to Hacking Your Health podcast. I'm Ben Canning.
And I'm Dave Kennedy.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was good, yeah. But I think you're supposed to say, I think we go this every time, but I think it's supposed to say, like, hey, I'm Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy, and then this is Hacking Your Health. But it's fine.
But I can't have I don't know then. I can't just introduce myself at the start. Like, I need a bit in between.
You'd be like, hey, everybody, good to see you. You know, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Can only see you.
Well, but whatever. And then, whatever.
Okay, anyway. Well, actually, the first point that I want to note before we get into anything is we hit 10,000 downloads. So, I mean, that's a thing to celebrate.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. When we first started this, never would have thought we'd have got the reception from the community, but 10,000 is an awesome, huge milestone.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the first thing that happened this week. The other thing I wanted to do, and I'll maybe make this a weekly thing if we remember to do it, is to celebrate some wins that are going on within the client community, because I feel like, not that we forget about them, but, there is a lot of shit happening. I just want to sort of put it out to everybody else as to what's going on. So the first one that I want to note is a massive congratulations to David Boyd, who had a son last night or yesterday at some point. I mean, it's not often that we have someone who has a baby within the group, so that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. Awesome.
The second point is I got a message from Jason earlier on. Basically, long story short, suffers from sleep apnea, has to obviously wear a CPAP. Forgot to wear it last night and had a really fucking good sleep, and generally is feeling much better in terms of how he's sleeping with or without it. And like genuinely, whenever we started, he was getting like 2.5 hours sleep, which was shit, as you can imagine. So there's been a lot of work going into that, and obviously the more sort of weight he loses and the better his body is functioning, the better his sleep is. So that, I mean, goes way beyond just the sort of physical aspect of what we do.
That's awesome. The health aspects you get, I mean, I think, that's the hard thing I think for people to understand, is that it's not just about, feeling confident in your body and feeling confident of who you are and looking good. It's also the byproduct of everything that happens on top of that, right? It's fixing your sleep, fixing your brain activity, your brain fog. I mean, all that stuff. If you're running a well-oiled machine, everything else starts to fall in line. Your health ailments start to subside, and you start to do a much better job. Blood pressure shoots down. Cardiovascular-wise, you feel better. You have more energy. You wake up better. I tell you, I always used to tell myself I was a late evening person, or I was an evening person where I'd stay up till like 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and then I'd sleep in till 11 o'clock in the afternoon, or in the morning, and that was always my thing. Now I wake up at 6:30, 7, and I'm not happy to get up at 6:30 or 7, but
ready.
But I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go and hit the ground running. And it takes me a millisecond or a fraction of seconds to get into the set where I'm like, hey, I'm up now. It's good. I'm ready to go. So I think it's a good testament to say, hey, you start living a healthy lifestyle, all the things start to come into play with that as well.
Yeah, it's everything that comes along with it. And it's, again, actually, to talk about Jason, he sent me a message during the week. I don't know if actually I shared the photo with you. Basically, again, long story short, there was a mad storm wherever he lives, winds up to 100 miles an hour, which seems absolutely insane to me. But basically he was out just lifting the trees and moving everything and sort of clearing everything up. And his wife was out the window checking him out and sent him a photo of himself and like, holy shit, like, look at you. And it's
awesome.
Those things that we sort of don't recognize in ourselves and also take for granted that sort of come as a bit of a byproduct as to what we do or what you do in terms of like bettering yourself and sort of take control of your health.
Yep. And that's the thing, take control of your health. And guess what? That's what today's podcast is about, right? Mm-hmm. Is really how, we talked a little bit last week, I think, on some of the tips and tricks and things like that going into 2022 of what you can expect, but also just some mindset things that you could do just to kind of get started. I think today's podcast is really getting you ready for the new year, whether you're already an active in training and you're doing an awesome job, and you just want to make tweaks or you want to keep getting better, or you're just going to get started and this is the year, right? and hell yeah, make this the year, right? Make this the year that you are successful. Think about all the failures that you've had before in the past and why this year is going to be different. It will be different. And that's the thing to believe in, to have, belief in yourself and to understand. And we've talked about the whole mindset aspect, but remember that we're going to have days where we fall off. I remember, again, I'll go back to that one story where I was at that poker tournament, Ben. And, I don't know if I'm one of your more extreme clients in a lot of areas.
If ever there was an understatement to carry on.
But just to put it in perspective, like I took this to an extreme, and to the point of I think this was probably maybe 6 months in to our training, and I would hit my calories every single day. I would not have a failure day. Like I was like, hey, if it was 2,500 calories, I was hitting 2,500 calories. I was hitting my protein goals. I didn't falter or weaken or anything. I was spot on for 6 months. And then I had one day where, I went to a poker tournament, what? Hey, I'm going to enjoy this a little bit. And so I had some extra beers, I had some pizza and some other things. And I probably went over about 1,000 calories, right? So if I was 2,500 calories, it was at 3,500 calories. And I must have texted Ben in a complete panic the next day, like, I'm a complete piece of shit. I'm fat again. There's no way I'm going to be successful in this. And obviously that's not the case. This is a long-term journey. You're going to have days like that. You're going to have days where you want to enjoy food. It's around the holiday time frames, right? Enjoying food. But just remember, getting back onto this lifestyle is the most important thing. Just having more better days than not better days is so important.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think it's sort of right. I think I can't remember what episode you said it on, but it's about making the things that, were your habits and were your day to day before, the sort of unhealthy side of it, making them few and far between. It's not that they're never going to happen. Everybody's human. Everybody's going to go through the times, everybody has events, social events, birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, just shit show, shit day at work, whatever it is. Like, you're never fully going to get away from that, but it's about, like, if that's the way that you used to live that got you to that sort of unhealthy place, then, it's about making those days few and far between rather than making that the day to day and recognizing that, okay, that one day, that was absolutely fine, but change back to what you were doing the next day and not make it like 2 days, 3 days, 10 weeks, a year down the line, like, fuck, you stopped in the one day.
Yep. And that's, the whole habit aspect is everything, right? You're making this a habit, and this is your new habit moving forward, right? And before we get into the 2022 year of success for everybody here, and we wish you obviously happy holidays and all that good stuff, happy new year around this time. And, first of all, stay away from, I'm just going to go to the gym 7 days a week and I'm going to starve myself and do all these things. Don't do it. Start small. Okay. If you're going to make a New Year's resolution, hey, I'm going to hit 10,000 steps a day. Fantastic. That is a great one. Or, hey, I'm going to start tracking my calories. I'm not going to lower my calories, but I'm going to start tracking what I eat, right? Those are good little milestones to have good, successful time. But before we get into all of that, first of all, how you doing, Ben?
I'm doing really good, man. Thank you. Do we talk about training? I shouted at you last week for talking about training first, but I'm going to talk about training. So yesterday, which was Tuesday, I just really fucking didn't want to go to the gym. I just was not in the mood for it. And I was like, no, fuck it, because I can't tell all you guys to do it and then me not do it, whatever. And I had a really good session, like a really, really good session. And obviously I said to you, I'm training, for anybody who's in the UK listening, I'm training in Pure Gym at the minute, just convenience wise, which is again a point to note because for a week or so, maybe 10 days, I didn't go to the gym because I was put off by the 25-minute drive to the gym that I usually train at. So instead of just being put off and being like, fuck it, there's a Pure Gym that's 5 minutes away, it's not ideal. I don't like the gym, but I'm going, and that's the main thing. So yeah, the long story short, that one, training's good. I'm feeling much better. Work is good. I'm actually going to try and wrap things up today, I think, after we have our group call later on. Take a couple of days off and then get back to it on Monday with check-ins and actually take some time away to sort of recharge and do whatever the fuck I want over the weekend.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, man. And, listen, I joke with you, obviously, via text and stuff like that about the gym and the Lunk Alarms and Planet Fitness. And but, I mean, at the end of the day, if a Planet Fitness is near you or a gym that you may not necessarily like as much, but you're still putting the work in, that's all that matters. Who cares about the gym? Who cares about the place you're going to? If they have the equipment you need, you had mentioned that they don't have 2 ropes for your
Only
tricep
one rope.
extensions.
Like hopefully Santa brings me a second rope.
I couldn't do it. He, I would just bomb out.
But to be fair, on that point, like I was sitting yesterday and the machines mainly are upstairs and then the weight, like the free weight section downstairs. And I was sat there and I was like, do you know what? It was maybe me being a bit of a fucking gym snob. Like it's not that bad. It's just super bright and like, it's like just a generic gym. It's like, I don't know about you, but if I go away somewhere, I don't want to stay in a hotel that's like that general, like generic hotel. It's like that in a gym version that it's just everything's the same. It's like the techno gym equipment. It's just super bright. It's a 24-hour gym. So there's no one who actually really works there. So there's no like personality met at the door. Like, you know, there's none of that shit. So it's very impersonal, but it's getting the job done at the minute. And that's the main thing.
That's all that matters. And guess what? You're putting the work in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not dreading the 25-hour or 25-minute ride or anything like that. So that's a great
literally
thing.
5 minutes away.
That's awesome.
And what about you? What's going on with you?
Things are okay on my end. We had a little spatch of COVID here, so luckily, I just like the boosters, I didn't feel a thing. Just like COVID, I keep testing negative, but unfortunately, when my kids came back with it, and then 2 other kids got it. So Aaron and I, lucky, have been testing negative, and it looks like we're kind of in the tail end of this, So we are all vaccinated, got the boosters. All of our kids are vaccinated, and it's been one of those things where you're just like, that's kind of the world we live in today, right? Mm-hmm. So making it through that, but that luckily has not been very rough. I know a lot of folks have gone through a lot of rough patches with that. So for us, it's been pretty straightforward. But no, other than that, gym has been really good. I was mentioning to you yesterday, I got like 3/4 the way through my lift, and I was like, man, I'm really tired. Like I just, I'd PR'd all the way through, and I'm like, I'm pretty dead at this point, but I'm still going to PR all the rest of the way through anyway. So, I killed it, and it's crazy, man. Like, I look at the previous weeks to this week, and everything else, and I just, my weight is staying the same, yet I still continue to drop calories, but yet I'm lifting way heavier. My muscles are definitely growing. My measurements are all perfect. I don't understand my body sometimes, but it's working. So I'm getting leaner. I'm getting more muscle, but I'm not dropping any weight. So I'm like right in that perfect balance point right now of everything, where I'm getting leaner and I'm just a shit ton of muscle being added on right now for some reason. And I don't want to say it's because of a supplement, but there's a new supplement that I'm trying out that is different, and I actually am seeing some noticeable improvements in it. So there's a supplement I started doing some research on, and listen, supplements, we've had a whole discussion on supplements. If your nutrition isn't spot on, if your resistance training isn't spot on, if everything isn't spot on, this isn't going to do anything for you. So I want to preface it with that. But there's something that happens in your body, which is called mTOR, which is basically the way that your body kind of handles metabolism, protein synthesis, and a lot of other things that kind of goes through. And so, long story short, there's a product out there, and there's a whole bunch of them. I like the Redcon One guys. They have some good products, but they have this product called the 11 Bravo, and what it is it's phosphatic acid, which is basically a lipid messenger that has been shown in studies to increase protein synthesis by stimulating mTOR. So basically, it's telling the mTOR part of your body to produce more muscle mass. And this is, it's not a steroid, it's not anabolic, it's not anything to that effect. It's just a specific type of chemical in your body that's used to stimulate mTOR and protein synthesis. And so there was a study that came out of Biomed Central so when you look at control studies in humans, it's really difficult because, you have a lot of variables, people not eating right, people lifting more than others. So you have to really kind of dive down into it. The controlled rat studies and things like that are a lot better, although they don't directly one-to-one apply in humans. So like what they'll do is they'll basically, do a lot of, mice studies and things like that. And then they'll try to, simulate that in very small controlled studies to see if they have the same type of effect in mice. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This one was specifically done, so it's a low sample size, but there's a lot more studies out there on this. But it was 18 strength trained males that were basically in a randomized group. So half of them were in placebo, half of them were taking this phosphatic acid. And what's crazy about it is there was a significant effect, short, mid, and long term, over lean body mass growth. 33% increase in lean body mass growth over those in the placebo group. And then there was a significant impact on strength, both on the bench press and leg press. So 666% increase in strength on the.
I'm just ordering it right now, just in case you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm literally ordering it right now.
666% increase in strength in those taking it versus placebo, and on the bench press, 126% increase in strength versus the placebo group. So some pretty interesting, and this was a 8-week trial that was done, and they were basically doing 3 days per week resistance training to see lean body and measuring lean body mass as it was going on. And so I started taking this about 4 weeks ago. And, again, I can't say just by me taking this, but I've noticed some substantial muscle growth increase over a very short period of time just by taking this. And, side effect wise, it's fine on the liver. Again, it's not a steroid. It's basically a specific chemical that's released in your body that tells your body to, help with, like mTOR is plays a key role. And I'm just reading this from the NCBI medical research study groups, which plays a key role in aging, has been implicated in disorders such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes. So better mTOR results equals, better areas for there. Also helps with overall body growth. There's just so many benefits of mTOR in your body, on your metabolism and everything else. So it's a pretty cool, interesting supplement that I started taking. Again, if everything else isn't, spot on, this isn't going to do anything for you. But if you're at a regular regiment and you want to try something that may have an impact on you based on, what we've seen from controlled study groups, this might be a cool one to add to that list of ones. But other than that, things have been going really good. Training's good. Health is good. At least from my side, my kids are, getting over it. But everything else has been great. Kicked some ass earlier at Orange Theory. So prior to the whole
Does Orange Theory have
situation,
a Christmas party? Are you going to have an Orange Theory Christmas?
No, we're in the whole isolation thing right now.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Kind of
can't do that shit.
Yeah, so even Christmas is canceled for us, unfortunately. So we're just doing a family Christmas just with our immediate family, and then we're gonna do probably in the New Year time frame, do it with our parents and grandparents and all that good stuff. So best to be safe than sorry. So
yeah, 100%. So I genuinely, you are talking about 11 Bravo stuff. I am ordering up here. I've just seen though, Big Noise pre-workout Dragon's Blood. I mean, I'm sold on that right away. I'll finish doing that after. But anyway,
the Big Noise is good. Of course, I have some, and then also they have a secondary supplement for muscle building called Halo. So Halo and Level Bravo stacked together is supposed to be really good.
Okay.
I don't have Halo yet. I ordered it. It's coming.
Okay, so order it here now then.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I think I've just put 15 different supplements in there. But anyway, so yes, I can get it anyway. And answer to your question, they have a UK-based site as well. I really like the Redcon stuff. I like it's just a cool brand. Like what they do, like the packaging's cool, the branding's cool. I like all that stuff. So yeah, it's a cool brand. And anything
it's really military-ish, and everything else. Yeah. And obviously I'm military, so it's cool. So
yeah, even the I'm going to say the V word, the vegan protein here, like the Green Beret. Obviously, I get the sort of analogy there as to what they're trying to touch on. But I'm actually going to order the vegan protein just from a digestion perspective to try it out. But yes, I can't wait to try it out. If I would get 666% in strength increase, then we're good.
Dude, check out your leg press. You're going to be like, oh my God.
Actually, and I was kind of joking, and now that I think about it, I might not have been. Yesterday, whenever you were talking about the rack pulls, I was like, I don't think there's enough weight plates in this gym. I genuinely, in the downstairs section, I don't think there is enough weight plates for what I would need to do a rack pull. But anyway, 2022.
2022, right?
Okay.
First of all, let's hope it's going to be a great year for everybody. I just want to throw that out there, and hopefully we're coming out of this crap. I mean, it doesn't seem like it right now, but hopefully we do soon. But how do we make it a successful year, right?
Yeah, well, I touched on it last week, and I don't know if you had a look at it, but the objective outline sort of PDF thing that I sent out, that would be my sort of first start point, and I'll literally we can run through it here while we're talking. But the sort of very first point of it is outlining what your vision for 2022 is. So there's no point in going into the new year and be like, okay, right, I'm here, well, ready to go. Actually sit down and work out what you want to achieve. And we don't even really need to talk about it from just a training or physique perspective. Like, we can talk about it from a work perspective, a family life perspective, a personal life perspective. Like, if you want to fucking learn a new language or learn to juggle fire while riding a unicycle, like whatever the fuck you want to do, as long as you have a set vision for it. I think that's definitely something that's beneficial. And I actually listened to another podcast, and the girl on it was Stephen Bartlett and Mel Robbins. And at the end of it, she was talking about like the actual power of visualization. And I'm never really that like manifest person, but the way that she described visualization to me made a lot of sense. And it's not just, she used the marathon as an example. Now, I'm never fucking going to run a marathon, as we all know, but the way that she was talking about it made a lot of sense. So she said not only to visualize, you finishing the marathon, but putting together a vision board of the hard times, like the things that you're actually going to have to do to get there. So like, I'm not just going to turn up and run a marathon and that's me good to go. It was like, put up the days where it's raining outside and there's somebody in the rain running, or put up the days that, you have an injury, or put up the days that you don't want to do it, or the dark mornings and all the shit that you're going to have to go through to actually visualize what the entire process is going to look like, rather than just visualizing you running through the tape and getting the fucking medal at the end of it. So whatever it is that you're trying to set out for a vision of 2022, actually put together what that looks like and what you actually need to do to get there. Like, it's not just okay, right, I want to have a six-pack by June. Like, how are you going to do it? Do you know what I mean? It's about knowing the sort of process and the direction that you need to take things to get it.
Well, that's one thing I appreciated when I first came on board with you, Ben, and it wasn't a New Year's resolution. It was more so I was just like, I'm tired of being fat. So, but what I liked about going into your program was, you had this basically spreadsheet of things to track every single week, right? And on top of that, there was the weekly trackers, which kind of said, hey, here's, your goals for this week. You need to get in 3 trainings, this week. You need to get 10,000 steps. Here's your calories. Setting that up for success on a micro level really helped me out with the macro side of the house, right? And I think, having those visions of what you want to accomplish is really important. So maybe it's, hey, I just want to shed my weight. Well, what's the best way of doing that? I would say the best way of doing that is resistance training, and then honing in your macros so that you put on some muscle as you're going and doing this. And it's much easier for you to keep that weight off because you've now increased muscle mass. And now you can continue to increase muscle mass and have a nice body figure as you start to build up again, in the weight side of the house, which is what, you have done very successfully for a lot of folks, including myself. When I first came aboard, we dropped down to 195, I think.
Thereabouts. But I would like to point out as well, you had surgery in between there. If you remember, you had a recovery period. So I think that was something to sort of take in the note. Because I think last week we talked about it, and I went back and I was like, that was that was surgery. The first sort of 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, but the dropping of the weight, will come naturally if you're in a deficit and losing the weight and things like that. But at the same time, when you're adding resistance training, whether that's, I would really recommend, if you're going to do weight training 3 times a week, and Ben, feel free to contradict or to add on to that. But, if you're going to do three times a week, do full body workouts, do legs 3 times a week, do upper body 3 times a week, same workout routine. So, you do 3 workouts a week, but, incorporate squats and deadlifts, your back, tris, bis, shoulders, your chest, everything that goes into that, and just do a full body workout. And it doesn't need to be 2 hours at the gym. Usually I'd say on average, a good hour solid, is a good time frame to consider for, being at the gym and what you should be kind of pacing yourself for. Someone asked me this yesterday, like, how long do you spend in the gym? And typically it is only an hour if I'm not putzing around. If I'm just locked in and I'm going at it, it's an hour, but I'm usually always putzing around. So it's usually like an hour and a half. But you don't need to spend that long in the gym, right? You can, a solid hour, 45 minutes to knock out a full body workout is fantastic. And if you can get to the gym 3 times a week, just doing those while being in a caloric deficit, you're going to be in much better shape coming out of this than just trying to shed that weight and knock it all off. You're not going to be happy with just shedding the weight off. Trust me. Like I wasn't happy when I was at 195. And so, shedding the weight off and looking good is a combination of the two of those, I think.
Yeah, and as we've sort of touched on before, it's about having that sort of more muscle mass so that you can then eat more calories and you never have to go back down to that like super low deficit that you've been in before. And there's actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's actually been a lot of chat in the what's now called the family chat of clients that, people are like, oh, I used to be, I think somebody said, Ludivine said that she used to be eating 1,400 calories to lose weight. Now that she's eating 2,000 calories, she's like, she can't get her head around it. I'm like, because you just have more energy, even, and I listened to another podcast yesterday about this, even down to like a fidgeting perspective and like the things that you do that you don't even realize you're doing. Like, even if you're sat on the sofa watching a TV show, you will move less if you eat less calories because your body just doesn't want to do those things. So if you're sat on the sofa and you've got loads, you probably like shift to one side, move over here, and like you're all over the place. All of that added up is burning calories. So yes, okay, that's a very micro level to look at it, but over time it all adds up. So the more that you can get away with eating, for want of a better phrase, the better your training's going to be, and the more energy you're going to have to do your steps, the more you can put into your cardio and all the things that come along with it.
And also be careful on like wearables and fitness trackers and things like that tell you what your calories are. A good example, I have the Oura Ring, I had Whoop, I have, I have the Samsung now. I switched to Samsung versus Garmin, so I don't have to use my Garmin anymore. They'll give you like a calorie breakdown of how many calories you burned. These are very inaccurate when it comes to weight training. It's very hard to predict weight training because these are predominantly based off of your heart rate. And so when you're going and you're doing resistance training and you're, knocking out reps and sets like that, unless you're doing like a total cardio circuit, it's not going to be anywhere near represented. As Ben has mentioned, there's kind of like an after effect as well for calorie burn once you, do weight training as well. So, you really want to track and be very specific on the calories that you're eating versus calories out, but you don't want to starve yourself because, again, this is supposed to be a long-term journey, right? Are you gonna be able to starve yourself for the rest of your life? No. And you're gonna feel like shit. Your body's gonna break down. You're not gonna be able to recover, as fast. You're just not gonna be a happy camper when all this goes along. And I remember seeing pictures of Louise before and after. She just posted one recently, and she's eating more calories than when she was substantially heavier, and she looks phenomenal right now. I mean, she's the best shape she's ever been in her life as well. So. And she's eating more calories than she ever has before. So this isn't a thing of, hey, we need to starve ourselves. You need to understand, hey, just get a starting point. I mean, as we were recommending before, a tip to success is understand what your total daily energy expenditure is. Subtract a couple hundred calories from that, see how you do. See if you lose a pound or two a week. First week, second week, I would say don't expect anything. And then after that, it should start to come off. And then start to make, minor increments, as you go along by calculating, hey, I only lost, a pound or I gained a pound. Okay, let's shave 100 calories off this week again and see how it kind of works. So it's just minor increments over time. And eventually what you're going to find is a situation like me where, I eat 3,500 calories or I eat 3,000 calories or whatever it ends up being, and I'll maintain my weight or gain, or lose weight based off of that. When we first started, I think I was at like, 2,300 calories, something like that. So your calories will increase over time, the more muscle mass you put on, and it's just a balancing effort of your body, and as you start to go through it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And Louise is she's a good advocate for that as well, because when she came to me, she had tried every single diet, in like Weight Watchers, Slimming World, whatever it was, and then to sort of try and cross that barrier of everything that she has known growing up and every sort of like diet culture and all those things, to get her into a different mindset that we're going to eat more food to lose weight. She's like, that seems sort of looking at me like, this guy has lost the fucking plot. But now she understands it. Now she's stronger. Her training's better. And yes, okay, she shares photos in the client group, but she sends me other photos of like in the lift. It's like, look at my shoulder muscle. Like, where the fuck did this come from? But that's what it's, that's what it's all about.
By the way.
Yes. But yes, the building the muscle so that you can sort of have more of a daily allowance, and trying to sort of get your head around that at the start can be tough, because it's all we know from, if you've ever done a diet before, that's what it tells you. You need to eat less and move more, and then I'm the one telling you to do the opposite. But I think a good point to that is, everything you've done up to this point obviously hasn't been successful, or you wouldn't have to be here, or you wouldn't, be restarting the journey. Do you know what I mean? It's successful. It works until it doesn't, and then you're fucked, basically, is the only way I can put it.
Yeah. And so going into 2022, what are some of the main tips that you would recommend for somebody just starting off? We talked about a little bit on starting off small, right? And I think that's really important for folks to understand, is that, you know, it's the small changes that will have long lasting impacts, you know, in your success of this long term. You know, you know, I look at this of like, you know, today you live your life the way that you live it. If you just completely uprooted everything and completely change your life, you know, would it stick? Well, probably not, because you're used to doing things a certain way your whole life. So you have to make these small incremental changes over time and then gradually improve on them. Do not, for me, like, my changes happen quickly because I have, you know, because I'm so locked in to wanting to get bigger, you know, as fast as I possibly can, because I've never had the success before. It's more of like an obsession now, I think is probably a better word for it for me, because, you know, I've never been in this position before in my entire life to where, you know, I felt the way that I have. You know, at 39 years old, I feel better than I felt when I was 18, when I was 17, when I was 25. You know, I've never been in this type of position before. I didn't know life could be this awesome and feel this great. And so I want to keep that going, right? And it's a funny story. Yesterday, I had my shirt off. It's like, so I've actually progressed from T-shirts to half-cut shirts to when I'm like at home, I just don't wear a shirt anymore. It's actually a funny story. I walked in to my son, who was playing Fortnite with a bunch of his friends, and he had all of his friends up on FaceTime. And I was like, hey, Gavin, and I started talking about something, you know, like I was like, hey, you know, you got to do your laundry or whatever for later today. And I didn't realize he was on a FaceTime call. And, you know, I had my shirt off and everything. And Gavin's like, hey, sorry about that, guys. My dad's a freak of nature. He works out like 6 times a day, so just ignore him. But yesterday, Erin says to me, and she's like, man, my God, your chest is huge. That's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, that is awesome. I mean, and she's like, how much bigger do you want to get? And I'm like, oh, I want to get a lot bigger. And she's like, really? Like, do you want to be like, you know, I'm like, so we started having this, you know, it's, you know, for me, it's fun, right? You know, I'm having so much fun with this. But, you know, those came from micro habits, you know, and a lot of the habits that you instilled early on. And I think my big tip going into 2022 is having somebody that can hold you accountable. Somebody else that shares your success and happiness, because I don't think if I didn't have like a coach like yourself or a community around me, that I would be this much motivated to do what I'm doing now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of points to note just in that. It's, number one, having someone who can not make your decisions for you, but someone that you can come to and be like, am I doing the right thing? Like someone who's your sort of second brain, almost, that like they're coming to you and be like, I'm doing this, is that okay? And or someone going like, I'm freaking out, and then them go, no, we're on the right track. There's that side of it. There's obviously the sort of support side of it that comes along from the community and the calls and the chat and everything else. But there's also the wanting to show up for them as well. Do you know what I mean? Because you see, you know, it's not just the support, but it's like, okay, well, you know, if everybody else is fucking doing it, like I can't not let the side down, but I mean, I want to show up, like I want to be a part of it, like I want to be that sort of big role within the group. So there's a lot to be said about that. I think if we sort of take it, and I think this sort of falls in line with how we ordered the first couple of podcasts, I can't say what my biggest tips would be going into the new year if we don't talk about mindset first, because that's obviously right. what the first, you know, what the first pillar is. So I want to put this back to you as to what your mindset, or even a shift in your mindset, like when we first had that call, I don't know, September last year, I don't know when it was, but anyway, when we first had that call, sort of those initial couple of months, like what was the shift in your mindset to sort of allow you to have the success that you've had?
I think it was rock bottom was what led me to this, right? You know, I had tried everything from diets to starving myself to thinking I'm eating healthy to keto to Atkins. I did Atkins originally. And you know, again, I dropped some pounds, gain pounds, drop some pounds, gain pounds. Even when I was at my lowest, I think my lowest weight was 185. I hated the way I looked. I was just this like stick and bones. And I actually had somebody the other day say to me, like, I've seen all iterations of Dave, and you're by far the healthiest looking Dave I've ever seen. You know, when you were super skinny, you looked pale, white, frail, you know, didn't look good. to now you look, absolutely incredible. So, I think I'd hit a point of rock bottom. And I remember like this, like when I first was looking for a personal trainer, what had happened, is I'm like, okay, COVID starting, I had bought a tonal, which is a, weightlifting machine. That's kind of like a Peloton for weightlifting.
The way I describe it to people is it's an iPad that has arms. That's the only way I can really describe it.
And, and I was working out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat healthy. And I was eating like Panera and I was doing this. And I was like being real careful of everything I ate. And then I just kept seeing my weight tick up. And I wasn't seeing any changes anywhere else. And I wasn't feeling stronger. And I was all over the place on weight training and I had no idea what I was doing. And I had hit rock bottom. It was like one of those things where like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to be successful here. I don't know what to do. I feel like I have the motivation to want to change myself, but I just don't know what I don't know. And obviously what I'm doing and what I've done in the past, what I'm doing now, it's not working. So it was time for a change for me. So my mindset was really rock bottom, and then it was reaching out for help, right? And I think that's the biggest success I had was, I happened to find you, online and I checked out like Noom, or I think it's called Noom, right? I checked out a few different things that were like all these commoditized, like nutritional things. And I'm like, I don't, that's fine, but I don't need that. I need somebody to help steer me and guide me and to motivate me and to show me what I'm doing wrong and to teach me and educate me so that I could be successful. And so when I looked at a couple of trainers and they're like, yeah, we're never going to meet in person. We're never going to talk. You'll just get this like, program and it'll do this and this and this, and I'll track it and I'll prove it, all this other good stuff. I'm like, again, that's not what I need. Like I need somebody that I can, have failures and successes with and those types of things. And so, when I talked with you, I remember we had our first, we had a Zoom together, and, the first thing you said to me was, tell me what you're struggling with. And you just listened, and I walked through everything. And, you said, listen, I'm not the type of trainer that's going to give you a program that's going to just, send you on your way and you're good to go. I'm going to work with you. You have access to my cell phone. You can call me, text me, whatever you need. I want this to be just as much a success for you. Your success is my success, right? And that's what I think really shifted for me on the mindset front is, hey, I have somebody now that's holding me accountable. And, one thing that also helped out too is, as we started kind of going through this journey, we became good friends, and, you don't want to let a friend down. Right. And so for me, it's been a combination of both mindset of rock bottom and wanting to change myself, the successes that I've had, but also, I want to make you proud too about what we're doing, so it's kind of all the above, all of that has really culminated into where I'm at today and really what kind of drives me forward.
And you want to beat everybody else, obviously.
Oh, yeah, that too. So I actually saw a study. There's a study that left-handed people are more competitive than right-handed people, by the way. It's actually a scientific study on that, and it's so true, which makes sense,
Okay. Right, so there was obviously, a lot to that. So getting your mindset right is key. And I think, a good sort of point to start for moving into the new year, or at least what I do, is sort of give a bit of a reflection of the year that we've just had and a bit of a review almost. So if you have a think like, right, okay, 2021, what did I enjoy? What did I do good at? What success did I have? And what of these three things do I want to carry into the new year? And then do the opposite. What was shit? What didn't I have success with? And what did I really hate? And those things, you want to get rid of them. So you can sort of see whether it's habits, whether it's people, whether it's your fucking job, whatever it is, like have a sort of review of your year, what the good things were, what the bad things were, take those good things into the new year and leave the bad things in 2021. It's a bit of a cliche because it's new year, new me and all that shit, but obviously it's in people's minds. So yeah. I definitely think that that's a good sort of point to start on as well in terms of what habits you're going to take into the new year and what ones you're going to leave in the last year.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think I've really refined a lot of my good habits and kicked away a lot of the bad. When I say bad, my nutrition is locked in, right? I know at a given day, what I can eat, what I can't eat. If I have just a shit lunch meal, like I'm just in a hurry and I'm buying and I eat a burger. Okay, great. I know I need to be more protein centric. Like I'm really locked in on the nutritional side of the house. The habit that I need to get rid of is when I go to play video games at night. Motherfucking Wheat Thins, man, they get me. They get me so good. Those Wheat Thins. I'll eat a whole box of those sometimes, and I account for it in my calories, but it's not the best to eat a whole box of Wheat Thins before you go to bed. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. So there's no reason to blow 800 calories on Wheat Thins. It's just the stupidest thing ever. But for some reason, it's become one of my habits where I'm going downstairs. I'm gonna go get me a Bang, which is creatine, no caffeine, and caffeine-free ones. And I'm going to eat a whole box of Wheat Thins, So I think I'm going to stop buying Wheat Thins because they're my kryptonite.
That's what I would recommend, because if it's not in the house, you can't eat it. And that's what I do. I'm like, I'm maybe in the supermarket and I'm like, oh, these look great and these are on offer and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh shit, I don't need to eat. And if it's there, I will 100% eat it. It's fine. If it's unopened, it can sit in the cupboard for months and months and months, and I won't even.
Oh, not me.
And as soon as it opens, that's it. It's like I'll be stood here and I'm like, I can hear it. I know it's there. Like I can hear it. I need to go and get it.
I'll tell you a funny story really quick. So Erin buys these reduced fat Wheat Thins because she likes Wheat Thins as well. She knows that I just destroy them, and she put her name on there, and she said, "Listen, these are my Wheat Thins. Okay, so don't touch them." I totally forgot we had that conversation. I totally wrecked that whole box of Wheat Thins. So the next day she's like, where the hell are my Wheat Thins? I'm like, I have no idea. No idea.
It was the dog.
It was the dog or the kids. Either one, but my kryptonite is definitely Wheat Thins. So.
Okay. A point to note in nutrition, and I think I maybe mentioned this last week or the week before, but I had been looking for a meal prep company to sort of take that, delegate, I guess. And I think, again, a point to sort of note about things that you've mentioned before is you've delegated your sort of health and fitness to me to take control of. So obviously in business, you delegate all the stuff that other people are better at. So you've done that. So for me, I've been trying to delegate, getting a meal prep company, and they are awful over here. I just can't get one that is any use, and I can't get the ones from the mainland UK delivered over. So I've managed to talk my mum into prepping my food for me.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely ideal. So
that's awesome.
Set that up.
Are you paying her?
Coming up. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. She was actually here earlier on wrapping all my Christmas presents as well. Didn't pay her for that one. But yes, a point to sort of note on that is just find ways to make things easier for yourself. It doesn't necessarily need to be a meal prep company or whatever, but obviously everything that we're doing is going to come with a cost in terms of financial cost, a time commitment, or whatever it is. But you want to sort of make sure you're utilizing either the financial investment or the time investment as much as possible so that you don't feel like you're wasting either.
Yep. And I think meal prep services, I mentioned before, if you're in the United States, I really like Tavala. Really awesome foods. My wife eats them. My kids eat them.
Still not sponsored by them, though. I mean,
we need to be, for crying out loud. I probably sold 300 of them, for crying out loud, to people. But, we got to get sponsors. Yeah.
That's our goal for 2022. So
that's our goal for 2022. But Tavala's been great. They ship it to your house, never frozen. They send you an oven, steam oven. You basically scan a QR code, pop your food in, fresh food. Macros are all accounted for. Usually range anywhere between 300 calories to the real extreme ones are 800 calories. But, normally I stay within the 400 to 500 calorie mark per meal, which is usually about anywhere between 40 to 50 grams of protein, 40, grams of carbohydrates, 10 to 20 grams of fat. So, usually it's a really great breakdown of macros for you. The meal prep and what you put in your body, I think, is extremely important, and making that a cyclical effect. I'll tell you one thing that I've really started liking a ton, just I could just eat this all the time, is literally rice, chicken, and broccoli. I know it's simple, but I could eat that all day long.
You do know that this is what the industry as a whole is trying to step away from.
I know, but I was just saying, I could literally eat that all day long.
Chicken, broccoli, and rice is bodybuilder, old school. They used to eat that 6 times a day. And everybody's trying to step away from it. You're like, I like it.
I actually like it. I actually like it a lot. I was like, Aaron, can I get this rice maker that just keeps rice, cooked all day long? And I can just scoop some rice out, prep some chicken, heat it up. I would eat that all day long. I would just eat the shit out of rice and chicken. I love it. I don't know.
One point that I would like to make here is food, it doesn't need to be a suffering thing. Chicken and broccoli and rice to me, I can make a good meal out of that. But if you're shit at cooking and you don't have a fucking clue what you're doing in the kitchen, then I've seen literally other coaches whenever I used to work in Jimco, sat beside me with I'll actually find the picture and I'll send it to you. Plain ass white rice and a boiled chicken breast. And I'm like, this is the most depressing piece of Tupperware meal I've ever seen, but it doesn't need to be like that. So if you're not good at cooking, do yourself a favor and learn how to cook, because you can actually really make good things. Like, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to suffer whenever you're managing your nutrition. Like, you can, if you can cook and add flavor to things and have an understanding of food, like, it doesn't in any way need to be in bad. Like, I mean, I've always enjoyed, like, even if I had 1,600 calories, I still enjoyed the food that I had.
Oh yeah, and that's what I like about Zavala is, like, there's so much of a wide blend of food. I mean, you have steak, you have pork, you have salmon, you have all of these different specialized proteins. You can obviously do vegetarian or I don't know if they do vegan, but they definitely do vegetarian. It's all those things that like, I enjoy the meals that I eat there. My wife and I have a favorite one. It's the chicken shawarma. It's like 630 calories. It's fantastic. It's got 50 grams of protein. It's an amazing meal, and it's like our favorite meal to go and do. I like the steak one. So it's just find what you like doing. If you're always in a bind, you suck at cooking, Chipotle is fantastic. Just throw some rice and rice and double chicken on there. With some fajitas, you throw some sauce on there, whatever you want to do. You're looking at, 400 or 500 calories right there. It's already in MyFitnessPal. And it's a great breakdown of macros there. Great set of carbohydrates and protein, and, just a really quick meal you can order and go pick up or have someone deliver, whatever. It's just a good benchmark there. Yeah. Do you have anything to add on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. One big thing that has been a game changer for me, that I'm carrying into 2022, and this is like my biggest fear, where I'm at now, right, is I'll stay the same of where I am right now, right? You see these guys that go into the gym and they've been going there for 10 years and they look like they've been lifting for like a half a year, right? And I had somebody that direct messaged me, being kind of shitty actually about it. Well, just in the sense of, like, oh, you're on testosterone, so of course, you're going to look like that. I'm like, no, motherfucker. Like, testosterone isn't this magic thing where you just start taking and all of a sudden you get muscles. Like I work out 6 days a week, plus 3 days of cardio, plus 15,000 steps, and my nutrition's locked out. What are you doing? Let's take a look at your plan of why you don't look like this. It's not testosterone. Okay. Yes, testosterone does help, but it's not this magic thing where you're all of a sudden going to start having muscles. Like, it doesn't work that way. I'm just putting natural testosterone in my body because I don't produce enough of it. So anyways, F that dude. But you see these dudes that'll go in there and they're just the same, look and feel every time. And yes, one is definitely not a nutrition, but second is not understanding what it takes to actually grow your muscles. And I think that's been a big epiphany. When we first started our training program, you focus on resistance training in the true coach side of the house. And I understand the program you do. I think when you evolve more, though, you need to really, and you specifically, request that we track the weights that we're doing so we can go back and look at those. I don't know if that was one thing that I focused on a lot when I was first starting off in this, and maybe I shouldn't have, because I'm just getting into that mind muscle body connection, and it's much more important on form than it is the amount of weights that you're throwing up. And also tempo is extremely important too. So, time under tension and making sure that you have a good, muscle contraction as you're going through and doing these exercises. So getting those down first and foremost, I think, is really important. But if you don't want to look the same every single year, you need to increase your weights, right? And you need to consistently track that weight. So it doesn't need to be anything super sophisticated. Just take a piece of paper, 1 week and say, hey, my bicep curls, I did 25 pounds or 35 pounds, for this amount of reps. This is how many sets I did. Here's how many reps I did. And here's how much weight I did. And I like your easy trick hack, Ben, which is, if you're trying to go for anywhere between, 8 to 12 reps in a set and you only get to 8, cool, keep that same weight and keep going until you get to 12. Once you get to 12, increase the weight. Then you're back down to 8 again. Great. Keep going until you get back to 12 again. So it's really always increasing your weights and putting in that tension on your muscles, because that is ultimately what triggers muscle hypertrophy, protein synthesis, and your body's ability to grow muscle. If you're just doing the same weights over and over again, your body is not instructing itself to build more muscle, or if it is, it's doing it very slowly. So, you really need to increase those weights and throw more weights up. I'm not saying you need to blow your back out at 600 pounds, but, you want to be in that range where you're getting to muscle failure, right? Where you can't lift anymore, where you're struggling, you're shaking as you're coming up, and your muscles are just dead, right? You want to get to that type of point where you can't do anymore. That's why I really like doing AMRAP sets, as many reps as possible at the very end of my workout routines, because I'm burning my muscles out at that point in time, right? It's just yesterday it was a pull day, so it was back and biceps predominantly. Did some traps and a little bit of calves too in there. But my last 2 sets are I'll do a landmine row where it's lightweight, and I try to do as many reps as possible to burn my back out. And then I go right to waiter curls, where you bring the curl, you curl up into more of a bicep curl for waiter curls and biceps. And, I can get 15, 20 of those, but my arms are just shot afterwards. My muscles are done, at that point in time. The volume that you lift, continues to increase. So my biggest recommendation going into 2022 is track the weights that you're lifting and gradually increase them over time with what you can do based on the amount of reps. So if you're getting to 12 reps, increase that weight by 10 pounds and see where you're at. If you're just getting 6, then cool. That 4 to 12 range is where you want to be at typically. So keep that weight going. And then of course, if you start at, 6 and you're going to do 6, next week you can do maybe 7 or maybe not. Maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month later, you're getting to 10. Fantastic. Keep that going. You always want to be increasing weight and volume. It's all about total volume and time under tension in your muscles to increase the size of your muscles.
Yeah, agree. And anybody who says that they don't need to track their workouts because, it's just in their head what they did. No, it's not. Like, there's no way that you can remember an entire workout, 3 sets per exercise for 6 to 8 exercises. There's no way you can remember everything you do. And I'm a fan of pen and paper. Like, I will just have a logbook and I will write it down because I'm easily distracted. So if I put it in my phone, then 5 minutes later I'm on Instagram and I'm fucked, and the session lasts about 2 hours. But a point that I would like to make about that sort of, if we take 8 to 12 reps, yes, you're absolutely right. If you get 8 reps, then you want to stick with that weight until you get 9, 10, 11, 12. However, if you're in that sort of upper rep range, and you're maybe at 11, and this last week you got 11, this week you need to get 12. If you get to 12 and you feel like you have more, do more. Don't stop because it says 12 and you're like, oh, I just need to stop at this round number, like whatever. The flip side of that as well is if you get the upper rep range and then you need to up the weight, and it's maybe a weight that you've never lifted before or whatever else, and you don't reach 8 reps, if that's the lower end of it, and you get maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever, that's okay too, because your body needs to get used to holding that weight. It needs to get used to the actual weight. So if it's a squat or bench or whatever, if it's a weight that your body's never lifted before, then yes, it's going to take some time to, acclimatize to it, I guess. So stick with that weight, and then, your goal is then to obviously get to 8 and then work up to 12, and then that's how you naturally progress. One caveat to that is obviously, we can only progress so much. And if you go maybe 3 weeks, I'll always say 3 weeks, that you don't progress in either reps or weight, then it's time to swap the exercise out. So if it's something, you just swap it out for something that's the same muscle group, but a different exercise, because unfortunately, if we were all progressing, I'd be doing fucking 800-pound squats and not giving a shit. Whereas you obviously have an upper limit. Do something else whenever you plateau, bring that back up, reach the upper limit with that, and then maybe go back to the first exercise that you were doing. But I would say 3 weeks. 2 weeks isn't enough. 3 weeks, if you've had the same amount of reps and exactly the same weight, then it's time to change the exercise out.
Yeah, and that's a thing that I really enjoy too is not just switching the exercise out. It keeps things fun and exciting when you do something different too. Yeah. So you're not doing the same monotonous thing week after week after week. So in my training programs, I have week 1 and week 2, and they're very different type of workouts. Both of them, same muscle groups worked, just different workout programs that I do, and then I'll make little tweaks and things like that based on how I'm feeling, throughout the week, on each one, just to kind of keep it fun and exciting as I'm going through. But you're absolutely right. The type of exercise you do will hit your muscles differently. It'll feel different. It's a different type of movement. So your muscles don't get used to a specific type of exercise point. So, it's a way of hitting your muscles in a different angle or different way to kind of get rid of those plateaus. And I think that's a big piece there as you go through. For me, I track week after week. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I track week after week. Each of my training programs, it has total volume in there. It was a really simple Excel formula to add. It's just basically taking, rep one, or set one times rep one amount of weight. So it's just, weight times the reps. And you do that for each set that you do. And then you do a combined total of that. That equals your total volume, right? And so, if I do bicep curls, I look at last week, hey, I started off at 35 pounds for a bicep curl. Okay, I'm going to start off at 38 this week and see how I do. Especially if I hit 12, on that one. So I'll bump it up a couple pounds to see how well I react to that. And if it's too low, then I'll drop it down, and keep it going. So, it's just, minimum increases. You don't need to, increase by 5,000 pounds or 6,000 pounds. I have done that several times, but, it's one of those things where 100 pounds or 50 pounds or 20 pounds, a difference, you're increasing the time under tension that you have. And I think that's really important for folks to understand for muscle hypertrophy or growth. You need to have heavier weights. It's scientifically proven. If you're just lifting the same weights week after week after week, you are not going to make gains in the gym. And you're just wasting your time at the gym. You're just maintaining what you already have. You're not going to build or grow.
Yeah, there's a very good example of this that I actually lived myself. So the gym that I used to work out of is called Jimco. There was an original version of that, which is closer to my house now. And then they opened a new one that I started in, which is just now slightly over 5 years. In that time that I worked in the new one, I didn't ever go back to the first one, just because I was always in work and I would have trained there and that was absolutely fine. Whenever I left, I then went back to train in the original one. And I honestly, I saw maybe 6 or 8 guys who had been training since before, like the 5 years before, wearing the same fucking training gear, doing the same exercises in the same order, doing the same weight, and looked exactly the same. And I'm like, that's five years. If you're doing the same weight, reps, exercise, of course you're going to look the same. Like, there needs to be something that promotes change within the body. So more weight, more reps. Maybe if you've been doing your training plan for more than 4 months or whatever, that needs to change too. Or even if it's the type of training or the way that your training plan's set up. So obviously you mentioned there, full body. Obviously then you can move into upper, lower, push, pull legs, or infinite amounts of different splits of how your training can be set up. But maybe sometimes it's just needed. A change is needed. Maybe sometimes a change is needed.
Maybe sometimes a change is needed.
Maybe sometimes a change is needed.
Like the splits that I do that I've really liked is, if I'm lifting 6 days a week and I have a day off on Sunday. I actually do take days off on Sundays. That is my lazy day. I literally don't do shit. I usually don't even hit my step marks. But I make up for it the rest of the week on extra ones. But Saturday or my split is I'll do a push pull legs. And then I do an upper lower split. And then I do what I call a pump day, which is going to be more reps and trying to get, the muscles to pump and things like that, a little bit more, burn them out for the week. So I found I like that a lot because it's a nice balance of hitting all the muscle groups several times throughout the week. And then also, the amount of volume total that I do with that is really good as well. So, again, I'm not saying you have to lift 6 days a week. 3 days a week is fantastic. Full body exercises for 3 days a week. You want to focus on, heavy compound movements are your big goals there. So bench press, deadlift, squats, overhead press, are going to be some of the big ones there, that you focus on for those. And, those are going to give you your most amount of muscle mass. So if you're doing 3 times a week, consider doing maybe one big compound movement one day, and then hitting the muscle groups in a lot of different areas, and then, do another big compound movement another day, and then do another one another day. So, it's just, kind of balancing how this all works out. But at the end of the day, your body can take it. And the resistance training can become really important.
Yeah, we have a podcast, episode 13, if anybody hasn't listened to it, how to build your own training program. And I think we covered all those, like what you need to look at from a compound movement, from a how to set it up, like what that should look like, squat, push, pull, carry, things like that, hip hinge movement. So it's all in there. So if you're at this point, you haven't listened to any of the other podcasts, everything that we're saying, obviously we're refining it because we're moving into the new year, but everything that you need to set yourself up for success in the new year or at any point is all there. Like, we've ticked a lot of boxes on that front. We need some fresh content moving into the next year.
Oh, we will. We have some good guests coming in and a lot of other good stuff. I'm excited about it.
Yep, for sure. Want to finish with anything? Any top tips for you? Goal setting? What about outside of health and fitness? Because obviously we don't want to just be like, oh yeah, fucking bicep curls and protein shakes.
It's really just health and fitness. No. It's, no, I mean, goal wise, I always want to strive to be a better father. Be there for my kids. Be more active with my kids. I love teaching my kids' basketball team right now. It's a lot of fun.
Am I going to have to learn? I've got 3 months. Can I learn how to play basketball before I get over there?
Yeah, we'll go. I'll just throw you into a league. And you just figure it out. Just YOLO. Just run back and forth. That's all you got to do.
With like 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds.
No, it's all a bunch of old adults that we break easy. But
I used to play when I was in school. So what was that? 137 years ago or something like that. A long time ago. But I did play this in school. Only because I was taller than everybody else. That was it. Oh, you're a tall guy. Throw it to him.
That's right. That's all. And hey, I'm the tall guy in the center, and I'm a big guy, so I can throw people around. So I just get the ball and I pass it out to people that can actually shoot, because you don't want me shooting. So, no, just being there for my kids, my family is going to be big. Obviously, on the business front, things are going really well. Continue to strengthen and bolster all those companies and continue to grow, but also recognizing, hey, we have just an amazing group of people here. Take care of them. See what this year brings us. But for me, I'm really excited going into 2022. I know there's a lot of shit and turmoil and things like that. So, I know it's not all positive, but at the end of the day, I try to always look at the more the optimistic side of the house of things. That's always been my kind of way of looking at life and impacting the things that I can in a positive manner. So continue to do that and help others going into 2022. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think what you said there about impacting the things that you can change, like controlling the controllables. A lot of people worry about a lot of shit, and I'm not that part. Everybody's talking about another lockdown and all this shit, and I'm like, if it happens, I'll deal with it then. There's no point in me worrying about it twice.
Can't do anything about it.
Like, we have to fucking live every day as it comes. But yeah, that's it. I mean, so next week it will be, I hope you had a good Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, same here. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody out there from the Hacking Your Health podcast group, and hopefully you're enjoying this. I've heard so many great things on social media around feedback and just how much they're enjoying the podcast, how it's changed their perspectives, and how they look forward to it every week. So we really appreciate you all listening. You're part of this community as well. Continue to share your experiences, and your successes, your struggles. Check out the Discord server, discord.gg/WeHackHealth. I'm sorry, it's Hacking Your Health, not We Hack Health. It's Hacking Your Health.
Maybe we should change that because it's then all the same.
We should. I could do that. But have a wonderful set of time with your family. And, it might be a good thing, just from a resolution perspective, just to make a slight change is during your Christmas and New Year's break. I know we all like to eat. Why not focus more on stuffing it a bit more with meats, focusing a little bit more on protein. And that's going to be kind of your start on the nutrition side is, hey, I'm going to do less of the potatoes. I'm going to do less of the pumpkin pies, and I'm going to go more towards the meat. I'm still going to enjoy those, but just more within moderation. So I'm going to focus more on, hey, I'm going to eat the turkeys or the hams or whatever, the chickens, more so than I am the other things. That's a good way to start off the new year. And if you can control that, lead into hopefully some really big success for you in 2022.
Yeah, and I would definitely recommend, if you're not already, to join the Discord channel, because I think we should probably run something, I don't want to say support group, but maybe that's what it'll turn out to be. But anybody who's starting out in a new journey, moving into the new year, we can have something that we run for the first couple of months or whatever as a sort of bigger, wider accountability tool, and use the sort of wider We Hack Health community on the Discord channel for that.
Yep. Well, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff from the Hacking Your Health family, and hope everybody had a great time. Appreciate it.
I hope Santa brings us a good intro because we're not nailing it. Right, catch you later. Thank you.
See y'all.